we start in Johannesburg, where about 100 people have ransacked foreign-owned stores in the latest wave of violence rocking the country. Doors and windows were smashed overnight and food and other goods strewn on the floor in stores believed to belong to illegal immigrants. Similar incidents have taken place in Pretoria over the past few weeks. However, authorities have been reluctant to characterize the attacks as xenophobic in nature. Now, anti-immigrant violence has flared up sporadically in South Africa against a backdrop of near-record unemployment. Foreigners are often accused of being behind a criminal activity and taking jobs away from locals. Well, let's get an update on what's happening on ground. Angelo Coppola now joins us in Johannesburg. Angelo, welcome to the show. Now, we're hearing reports that many foreign shop owners have shut their doors, of course, in fear, and some foreign-owned stores have even been abandoned. Now, give us an update on the situation right now.
Well, as of about 2 minutes ago, Uche, it was very quiet. There was hardly any police presence in the area around the hostel where all that action happened last night until the very early hours of this morning. The South African police services have been patrolling the area all day. Between 5 and 10 vehicles have been moving past that hostel area. But the hostel dwellers have basically retreated back to the rooms during the day, so nothing much has been happening. Shopkeepers and business owners were standing around on the streets today while we were driving through and chatting to them. Those whose businesses have been looted were spending most of today tidying up and repairing the doors and patching up the windows and trying to prepare for any follow-up activity that might happen tonight. Many of the businesses are closed in the area. The only shops that really were open were the panel beating shops and the car spare parts places that were doing a brisk business. Many, though, are worried about what's going to happen tonight, and we'll be heading back there shortly after this cross to monitor the situation and report back to you.
Right, Angela. Well, South African authorities, they seem reluctant to classify the violence as xenophobia. They're basically saying it's just general criminality in the country. Now, what is the word on the street?
Well, we spoke during the course of the day to several foreigners and locals whose businesses had been looted, and it appears that these attacks were indiscriminate. The business owners' only crime appears to be that they were close to where the hostel is, and that's the way it appeared to us. But a researcher I spoke to earlier at the Institute of Race Relations told me that groups are easily influenced by activities that happen elsewhere in the country, and the events in Pretoria and Rosettenville could well have sparked off last night's violence. What happens tonight may well point to what's behind the looting and attacks and whether it's orchestrated or not.
Now, Angelo, looking closer at the problem, some say it relates to the depressed economy in South Africa right now. Others point to Johannesburg Mayor Herman Mashaba's call for illegal immigrants to leave the city. What do you think? And certainly, what is the way forward for the country right now?
Well, Uche, I'm going to go with a combination of all three. The economy is definitely depressed, we know that. When groups of disaffected and unemployed people get together, it's going to take a small spark that's going to lead to violence and attacks. Those remarks from the Johannesburg mayor no doubt made matters worse, and the living conditions at the men's hostel in Jeppystown are hostile to say the least. Many of the people that are living there are unemployed, and it's a recipe for violence. And the way forward, well, it's complicated, but it will require strong and continuous police presence, the arrest and prosecution of those guilty of the attacks. We understand that only 4 people were arrested last night, and yet some 20 shops were looted. And then there has to be the South African Police Service's commitment to doing proper police work in the communities that are affected by the violence.
Well, many thanks, Angelo. We'll certainly be watching out for those updates. Angelo Coppola joining us there in Johannesburg. Now